Rappers who have crashed their expensive cars. For rappers who have broken through to the mainstream, money, fame, and power come in seemingly infinite quantities. With all these resources at the tips of your fingers, it's easy to see how one might be inspired to live life a little recklessly. And while often that recklessness translates into simply spending a ton of money on jewelry and designer clothes, sometimes its effects are a little more tangible, like speeding down the highway in a car that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when this happens, it's only a matter of time until someone crashes their car. Luckily, no one on this list has been seriously injured, but many of them did lose cars expensive enough to put a serious dent in their wallets. And while not every crash on this list was the driver's fault, most of them probably could have been avoided. Before we get started, make sure you like the video and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Now, here's 8 rappers who have crashed their expensive cars. Starting at number 8, we have Post Malone. Post Malone is known for his love of cars. His entire collection is worth over $4 million, and includes a variety of vintage and extremely rare vehicles, like his Bugatti Chiron, which is one of 500 ever produced. Amongst that collection, or should we say was a Rolls-Royce Wraith, a $320,000 vehicle. While out for a drive in California's San Fernando Valley, Post's car was hit by a driver piloting a Kia. Post, who was sitting in the passenger seat of the car, was spared the brunt of the force as the Kia slammed into the front driver's side of the Wraith. The force caused the Wraith to spin out of control on the street and hit a light post, damaging it even more. Authorities confirmed that Post's account of the event was accurate, and that his party was not at fault. No drugs or alcohol is thought to have been a factor in the crash. Sadly for Post, the Wraith was totaled, but when TMZ got there, he didn't seem upset at all. On a lighter note, soon after the incident, Post decided to comfort himself with the purchase of a replacement vehicle, a $420,000 Rolls-Royce Phantom. Number 7, NBA YoungBoy. Unlike Post Malone, who was in the car he owned when it was completely totaled, NBA YoungBoy wasn't so lucky. In 2017, YoungBoy found himself in some hot water after a car accident left his vehicle completely wrecked. The problem? It was a Lamborghini Spider, and it wasn't even his. According to police reports, the Spider was found, crashed, and badly damaged on a residential street in Los Angeles. The vehicle, which was rented from Exotic Car Rental in LA, had over $350,000 worth of damage. And NBA YoungBoy was nowhere to be found when the car was recovered. If fleeing the scene wasn't bad enough, there's even more. YoungBoy wasn't even supposed to be driving the vehicle. The Spider had been rented by his manager just a day before, who signed a contract agreeing he would be the only one to drive it. Exotic Car Rental quickly pressed charges against YoungBoy, seeking payment for the damages from him and his manager, and it eventually turned into a lawsuit. YoungBoy was only 17 years old at the time of the incident. Number 6, Lil Yachty. Not all car crashes are quite as dramatic as YoungBoy's ditched Lambo. Sometimes it's the result of poor weather, bad roads, and pure chance. That's what happened to Lil Yachty when he was driving in June of 2020. While driving down Georgia State Road 400 in Atlanta, Yachty was stuck in the middle of a severe storm. Apparently, the storm caused a buildup of water on the road, leading to dangerous conditions. Yachty was driving a brand new Ferrari 488 that he had literally just purchased when the standing water caused the vehicle to hydroplane. According to the police report, Yachty lost control of the vehicle and hit the median wall at a high speed. The vehicle then slid over 770 feet across 7 lanes of traffic before finally hitting a road barrier and stopping. Emergency services were called to the scene, but luckily Yachty walked away from the crash relatively unharmed. According to the rapper, he suffered only minor injuries to his arm. His wallet, however, might have walked away from the crash a little injured itself. A brand new Ferrari 488 sells for about $330,000. There's no telling what his insurance premiums are now. Number 5, Offset. One of the more serious crashes on this entire list is the one that almost took the life of Migos rapper Offset in 2018. In May of 2018, Offset was driving a Dodge Challenger Demon, an extremely fast version of the Dodge Challenger, which can reach a maximum speed of 196 miles per hour, when he lost control of the vehicle and crashed. Sources report that the accident was caused when Offset attempted to avoid a pedestrian while speeding, causing him to swerve and crash the Hellcat. The car was severely damaged, and Offset was trapped inside the vehicle. Luckily, a man by the name of Jamar saw the crash and helped a wounded Offset escape the vehicle, before taking him to receive medical attention. Offset later showed Jamar his gratitude by purchasing the man a brand new Nissan Altima as a thank you. Ironically, the totaled Hellcat popped up at an auction later that year in a cop art scrapyard in Atlanta and ended up on a car YouTuber's channel. Pictures of the vehicle show intense damage. The entire front end of the car is severely smashed in, and the hood is bent. It's easy to see how failing to escape the vehicle could have been a death sentence for Offset. Instead, the rapper walked away with only minor injuries. Number 4. Soulja Boy. Normally, when Soulja Boy makes the headlines for making a mess, it's because he said something on social media or finessed his fans out of money with a subpar gaming system that he invented. But back in 2012, Soulja was accused of causing a car accident in Los Angeles. While driving a Bentley down the streets of Hollywood, Soulja was accused of making a reckless lane change and slamming into another car while it was stationary and waiting for the light to change. Though Soulja denied culpability for the accident, multiple witnesses corroborated the story of the other driver, whose wife was 6 months pregnant at the time of the crash. Shortly after, Soulja changed the story and insisted that it was the bodyguard that had been driving, not him. Luckily, no one was seriously injured. Ironically, the same exact red Bentley would be involved in a hit and run of a motorcyclist just over a year later. A man was left seriously injured after colliding with the vehicle while it was making an illegal turn. Ultimately, it was revealed that Soulja was not even in the car during that accident, but his friend Arab had been the driver. Arab was later arrested, and I suspect that could be in part why they're no longer friends. Number 3. Rick Ross. Rick Ross's mob boss persona has undergone some scrutiny ever since pictures of him working as a correctional officer surfaced years ago. However, regardless of whether or not Ross's backstory is true, he has been pensioned for putting himself in dangerous situations. In July of 2013, Ross was driving a Rolls-Royce through the streets of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. During his ride, an unknown shooter apparently targeted Ross in a drive-by shooting, causing Ross to attempt to flee the scene. During the scuffle, he lost control of the Rolls-Royce and ended up slamming into a nearby apartment building, badly damaging the vehicle. Although unproven, it's thought that the shooting was motivated by comments made about the highly respected gang leader Larry Hoover on one of Ross's tracks, BMF. This wasn't the first time Ross had been threatened over the comments, which angered a gang known as the Gangster Disciples, which has members in nearly every state. Some fans initially thought the shooting may have been a stunt to promote Ross's upcoming album, but no credible evidence had ever surfaced to support this theory. Besides, there are easier ways to promote an album than wrecking a Rolls-Royce. For example, a Drake feature or a diss track aimed at Birdman. Number 2. Travis Scott. This entry onto our list is not quite as severe as some of the others. There are no lawsuits or careening across multiple lanes of traffic, but it probably was pretty embarrassing for Travis Scott nonetheless. In May of 2016, Scott was spotted driving a Lamborghini Huracan in Glendale, California. A fan spotted Scott and began to record him from his apartment window. In the video, Travis can be seen getting into the vehicle outside of the Glendale Galleria. As he begins to back up his car, a panicked valet tries to stop him from backing up into a car behind him, but fails. The Huracan taps the vehicle behind him, but apparently Travis didn't want to go through the hassle of a formal report. After assessing the damage on the other car, he hops back inside of his car and drives off. Considering the Huracan sells for about $200,000, it makes sense that Scott probably didn't want to jack up the price of his already expensive insurance. And the car behind him didn't look like it was cheap either. But if that's the case, maybe it's time Travis hires a professional driver. And after the massive success of Astroworld, it's no doubt that he can afford it. And at number 1, we have Lil Baby. While some of the accidents on this list have been caught on camera, we're looking at you, Travis Scott. Most of the videos were captured by uninvolved parties. However, Lil Baby's latest car accident was caught on video by his own team and actually integrated into one of his own music videos. In the video for Lil Baby's track, We Paid, featuring 42 Doug, the duo can be seen driving a pair of Dodge Charger Hellcats down the road, accompanied by their team. Around 2 minutes into the video, you can find a short clip in which Lil Baby appears to lose control of his vehicle and runs into the car driven by Doug. The crash is tame enough and it doesn't even knock over the guy sitting on Doug's hood, but the reactions of the team are pretty hilarious, especially considering that the cars they were driving are quite expensive. And while this crash was, all in all, pretty harmless, Lil Baby seems to have a history with these types of incidents. In 2019, Baby was arrested for recklessly driving in a Corvette. Apparently, he had been speeding on the highway in Atlanta. When he caught the attention of a police officer, Lil Baby attempted to evade the officer, but ultimately was arrested after he became stuck in a traffic jam. So did any of the entries on this list surprise you? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And before you leave, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to our channel.